Two game, they answer right back and they get the win in Icebox 13-11. So now on the map number 1, we had a 13-11 going the way of TSM. Now we have a 13-11 on Icebox going the way of two game, and it's looking very intense. I mean, we see the emotions for the players. They stand up, they're yelling. I still want to know what they're saying. I'm so curious, Roy, but this was a map that was so close between the two, and it was 2-game at the end that were able to close it out.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams were completely evenly matched from start to finish. The tempo, the style, the aggression, the confidence, it was there for both teams. But in the end, 2G came out just in time to close out the series in a very, very close second half. But I do want to talk about the fact that, you know, there are some players that we highlighted, right? We kind of joked around saying 2G has basically 2 sims, and they kind of just showed it. Silence hops on the Jet. Look at his score. And not only was he like, is he getting an insane amount of kills, but he's opening the rounds. He's also clutching. He's also securing so many important scenarios for the Brazilian side. You kind of have to give him some credit, if not all the credit.
Yeah, he's been really popping off today. I mean, like you said before, we were joking around about like having 2 duelists, but having that type of agent diversity is so useful, especially on a map like Icebox where opping is so important, and having an opper on your team to be able to turn the rounds into your favor is so huge.
Which is something that we've seen before, right? It's not like it would be something new or something unseen for Sim to play this, but it's just something that we're seeing right now instead of that Reina composition that they're trying to make work out. We talked about it. We saw it yesterday. It didn't work out. Today, it was close, very, very close, but still 2G is the one who gets a win here. And once again, we get the chance to see the duelists for the side of 2G take place and see and show what their strengths are on each one of those individual agents. Now, it's a very interesting point, though, because for TSM, we've talked about it. They played 3 matches. They played day 1, day 2. This is day 3. They're playing right now, and all of those 3 matches, they've gone the distance. They go to a 3rd map, and now we're approaching Abyss, Roy. And
yeah,
we're talking about going the distance. They definitely went the distance when they played it last time.
Yeah, the last time TSM played this map, it went to 19-17, by the way, versus Galoris. And I feel like once you play that many rounds on a map, you kind of have to think that the entire playbook has to be available to study now, right? Because like there's no way you're playing 36 rounds and your entire playbook is not completely shown. Like, yeah, maybe you have 1 or 2 pocket strats that maybe you're hiding, but overall, if you're studying this team, if you're studying TSM's Abyss, you kind of have an idea of how they're going to play. And on the flip, 2G's never shown their Abyss. It wasn't in the map pool when they were qualifying for this Ascension tournament. So there's really nothing to study for. And I can't help but feel like that is in the advantage of 2G.
And you have Silence that was performing like crazy on this map, and we talked about it. We mentioned the duelist. It can be either him or it can be either Spike. They have so many options because this is a map that we haven't seen from them before. They can run anything, and we've seen the level of performance that they have, whether it is one of the 2 guys playing the Raze, playing the Jet, playing the Neon. They have an insane amount of option stars, so I feel like this is going to give them the upper hand to potentially allow this Brazilian squad to close it out today.
Absolutely. Yeah, sorry, I do also want to highlight Zap. He's not someone that we've talked about extensively, but his performance, not only mechanically does he look like he's in absolutely top form, but he's also setting up a lot of great utility. He's clearing out sites with perfect timing. It seems like every time 2G's in the process of like retaking, executing, like there's always the right util at the perfect time, and he's getting frags on top of that.
Bouncing off your point about Zap, I really love the energy that he's bringing right now. Like, he's always getting hyped. You hear him like standing up, you hear him screaming.
So
like,
fun.
I love it.
He definitely is like the hype maker of the team. So it's really good to see his impact in game and out of game, because I feel like that mental impact is also really important. And going back to what you were saying, Dryad, I think it's really interesting that TSM like played so many OT rounds, and now GE or 2GE, yeah, they haven't shown anything. So like, they can literally just bring out anything, and it would just be such a shock to TSM. So I'm actually really excited to see if they'll bring out like a double duelist comp maybe, or maybe even bring out a Yoru.
It could be. They have so many different options, especially on this map. This is a map that since the beginning, we've seen a lot of teams opting for different duelists, different compositions, and all of them are pretty viable. So that's why it gives the opportunity for this side of 2 game to play whatever they want. And the reason why I think is going to be a strength for it is because we've seen TSM, although they're able to close a couple of these maps, so many of them have gone the distance. And so it's like a difficulty to adapt and close out these maps.
Yeah, I mean, it really just feels like the level of competition is just at top notch right now. Like the room for error is tiny. Every player is popping off. Everyone's kind of feeling themselves. They're feeling incredibly confident. But I do believe we have the agents ready, so we can go ahead and see what 2G is cooking, and then we can kind of talk about what the kind of the philosophy is going into it.
Yeah, let's check out this agent select, find out what 2Game is doing.
Oh,
okay, it's looking pretty. Yeah, it's looking pretty standard. We were talking about the Yoru. I was thinking double duelist. I was thinking many different things, but it's looking pretty standard, Roy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the DRX comp. This is the old Ascent meta, right? We kind of we brought it along to Abyss, and now it works incredibly.
Is this Ascent?
It does feel like it almost plays identical to it too, where like you have a lot of versatility in mid, whether you want to use the KO knife or the Sova util to clear, and also when it comes time to like hit the sites, which this map is really big on, like just slamming B, slamming A. This composition that 2G has is great for that as well.
And I'm keeping my eyes on TSM. We've seen all those maps or all those matches go the distance from them. Can they close it out, or is it going to be the Brazilian squad on top once again? Let's find out with your casters, Uber and Wyatt.
Huge boost there in the confidence of a 2Game Esports coming out of Icebox, and it was a close affair at 13-11. Floating Abyss in this pick and ban, and like the desk mentioned, Wyatt, is one we've never seen from 2Game. So hey, let's just copy paste that Ascent comp over one of the comps that we saw from teams just as they were really exploring this map.
Yeah, the agents within the Ascent comp are very effective here. I mean, what you can cover with the 0 point, for instance, on the B site is really good. Silence, though. Action fast and furious, finds the first damage onto Sim as well, down to half HP as he plants a spike over on that cliff side. So you can get that passive spam onto it. From back towards B main, playing around Killer GMD on the lurk, but gets double faced, shot down, 5 versus 3. A lot of work for TSM to do.
Yeah, well, even with that Viper wall in play, 2G have been able to get theirs pretty comfortably on the B side. That first pick that opened it up, TSM now find themselves with 2, and Sim's already forced off the line by the paranoia. Beautiful. Everyone rushes over towards that coastline and deal handily with the last 2 TSM players.
Flawless.
Yeah, Silence plays that situation. It's simple, but he plays it perfect, right? Just finds that first kill, immediately dashes off. They begin to play that 5 versus 4 where, they still control a solid amount of the B site right here on the box. They retain that entire half, make it easy to pull out of heaven. Nicely done. Good start for 2G, who are definitely the hype team that we have at the event. The excitement already there. These guys winning their first pistol. They have gotten eco'd already, second round in this series, so it's dangerous. All the players in this server are looking crispy as far as the aim, if we're being totally honest, so anything is possible here. And it's a force from TSM. They have Sim with a Guardian full armor. What a risk to take straight away.
So unorthodox. They're really going for it here.
Cage triggered.
Cyber Cage for prize. He's going to allow him to nestled in between the pillar and the container itself here. Find this little off angle. It's a deadly one indeed, but he can't deal with 7. Up close with the Stinger. Standard plant location, for TSM. And they'll fall back. Sim can make use of this Guardian here at extreme range. The Spike just going to check and make sure. See if anyone's been left behind. And yes, 7 caught out.
That's a position where the 0 point is very effective. And now Silence one shot onto the weak Sim with the Outlook.
7 wanted to go for it. Looked like an Astrostar set up to maybe set up some kind of util there for TSM to help 7 out, but definitely felt like he was left on an island either way. And his force up for TSM has gone horrendously.
GMD experiencing some serious frustration at the end there. Had some kind of issue where he couldn't fire, clearly, and was not happy about that. So a little insult to injury dealt to TSM early on Abyss. Well, last time we saw them, they did get the win, but it was in scrappy fashion. Just an all-out brawl. The definition of mud Valorant against Serena.
A casual 36 rounds they played against
the never-ending game.
Yeah, that one really went the distance. Sim went absolutely bonkers in that game to save them. But he's been, over the course of this whole series, he's been excellent. 7 came alive, ended up with 20 frags at the end of Icebox as well. It still wasn't enough. That's definitely going to be starting to compound with TSM's other frustrations. Poised again keeps a respectful distance, but 2G check a little bit deeper. Hit that 0 point. And that's being pulled over here. They want to actually fight this, but Silence. 2 in the chamber, 2 kills, too easy.
Yeah, just send them packing. Quite a few light armors on the side of TSM here, as LZ does hear that audio cue of GMD taking the leap across.
He has managed to get here towards Tower, but Silence is waiting for him. 5-0 for the Jet player. So far, absolutely unstoppable. And once again, TSM find themselves in the unenviable position of being down to 1 player. Proto versus the world.
God, man. Yeah, it is a Proto with the trusty Sheriff.
He is so good with it. It's going to take more than just good, though, to save that kind of round. TSM falling behind by 3 here. Economy a little bit weird just because of that sort of early force. Even that round, the buy-up resembled their round 2. But Stinger Guardian in the mix, a little awkward.
That was a massive race to take on round 2. So bold from them.
Time to die.
Doesn't pay off. Finally, they're going to get a full buy, though, into the game. The economy is looking so strong early here, though, for the Brazilian side on defense. Poised is susceptible to a single shot from the Outlaw, but at least at the moment will be nowhere near the sight line of Silence, so not a worry for TSM just yet.
The full buy for TSM is delayed by a full round.
Look at this from 2G. They have just walked all the way down mid. When this B-hit comes in, they're going to get just destroyed by the rope. I mean, LZ perhaps getting a little greedy on that swing, but they don't expect Spike. He gets his. No reason to keep fighting this. He can just back off. TSM are so scared now. They know they're encircled. Damage from Silence. 1 tag onto Sim. So weak at 30 HP. TSM feel pressure. They have to get to the site, but how can they do so safely?
They can't. I mean, they feel pressed. They're on a timer because they think there's a play that's threatening to wrap behind them, and they're not wrong. So they walk straight into a trip and straight into the wood chipper. That is the 4th round for 2G, and that was the gun round for TSM. Smashed to pieces.
Yeah, just melted down on all accounts. That pure walk down mid. No one from TSM aware of that. And not aware that there were going to be 2 players. They thought it was just LZ, but that was not the case. Spike with that second little delayed peek, caught 2 completely off guard. The trash continues to be talked from the opposite side of the stage to TSM as they take the tack pause. Faded trying to stop the bleeding. I mean, right now, this feels like there's a lot of blood. I'm not gonna lie. It's pouring out of every orifice. It is tough right now for TSM early.
And I mean, they have no mid-presence there. It's audacious for 2Game to send 2 players all the way down, but TSM have no mechanisms to detect that early. And Seven has great reaction. He whips on one of the flanking players and takes him down instantly, but like you said, they rarely expect a second to turn up. And then it doesn't matter what Spikes does. He doesn't have to push. TSM are going to have to run because they are encircled. They're contained over on that side of the map. And they just trot happily into the util that Pricey sets up, waiting for them. And it's an absolute bloody slaughter.
I mean, at that point, the 3 remaining just know that they are cooked. There is no way out. They are trapped in an escape room with no exit. It is so tough for them. We'll see what Faded is trying to cook up for the team out of the timeout. Silence still with the Outlaw. No reason to drop that. Still so many targets that are one-shottable on the opposite side on a map with the sight lines. You know, it's giving breeze. They're just so huge, especially towards mid, towards B.
There's a deep smokes by TSM up mid to allow them to creep up to here. And Zap is going to be the one that has to stand to attention here. 1, 2 is good. And yes, the 3rd is there as well. Zap makes mincemeat of TSM, and Silence deals with the interlopers at the front door. Boys, there's a stinger. And Silence is a half grin, as he knows he's bound to get a little bit more action here. Poised now with the fear of God in him. Silence can also just float out here into the open. He restrains himself. Got to respect that. And now we're going to be checking this a little bit. Look like a push up there from Zap. Yeah, shoulder peek. There's just no way out of this. There's no easy way to answer this situation. Boys, though, not too bad. Deals with Zap, but Silence has the shorty.
Just maximum confidence from him. Still with the Outlaw on hand. Now Fenitsu has the Blade Storm ready too, so why buy up a rifle? The economy is just out of control for 2G now as well. Certainly in favor of some corporate tax cuts, retain their status in the 1%. They all have like 8K. It's crazy. Like, we're 5 rounds into the game.
I don't know how TSM are going to eat the rich with a bunch of stingers, though, Wyatt. At least now they've got another buy round. That is generational wealth for 2G. Embarrassment of riches. Silence at 9 and 2 should tell you everything you need to know about this game so far, folks. It's been brutal. We got North America number 2 squad. Sim at 0 and 5, only adding to the narrative.
And Silence says, yeah, why not? I guess I will buy the op. Why not? TSM trying to gain some control of A here. So weary now of someone trying to flank. They don't have a Sentinel, and that was exposed on their first gun round. Again, just so much fear instilled by 2G. Early on Sunset, too, they went for a super deep flank. You know, it's just a bit of conditioning that they have applied to TSM so early on these defensive halves.
In comes 7, he's going to see it all here. Hunter's Fury thrown towards the back of the site now. Or rather, coming from the back of the site. But 7 is able to get the drop on Zap there. It ends up being a 1-for-1 as Hunter's Fury did connect. He's in a great spot now, playing from security. This is dangerous, especially with Poise letting his own fury be felt. And Aprono throws that pit down. Finally, TSM have found a way to break through, but it's off the back, of course, of some key ultimates. Dimensional Drift, Hunter's Fury, both leveraged to give them the lead here. Silence and Pricey know that in the sad case that they lose this round, they can cry into their stacks of Benjamins.
They really like to try to feed 7 those ult orbs. That Dimensional Drift was great, not only just gaining the info in that space, but obviously the pick as well. The cherry on top. No reason for 2G to not try and at least deal some damage here. They can certainly afford it. Prize sitting with a cool 7.7k. Just playing forward. As TSM, nothing in the bank account. Kills here do matter. A Proto trying to get out, just running through the pit and is going to go down.
Remaining.
Can't do any more though, Prize. Shut down by Guimond, and it's the first one on the board for TSM.
And they keep 3 guns as well, Wyatt. A chance here for TSM to actually start to build up something that remotely resembles an economy. Bit of stimulus to jumpstart it.
Mitch, this is a situation where I must do my duty of saying, but is that kind of round win repeatable? They use 3 ults. You know, that whole thing. And I mean, is it? Typically, at least from what we saw against Rada, the post plants for TSM on A, after getting the spike down on attack, that was the struggle zone for them. Is it going to continue to be the case in this game? Can they only close it out when they have that many ults to play with? And that is yet to be seen. Silence playing close, but the drone will force him off the angle on the retreat.
We're going up mid again here. LZ knows that he is a defender on this part of the map, needs to play very passively and not offer up anything for free. Well, that one was an easy pickup for TSM.
Yeah, as the cloud drops, so does LZ. Just using the double smoke on TSM to press all the way up mid. The Astra and the Poison Cloud. Now they're slowing down, getting back into spawn. They want to end on the A site. Cypher setup will be tough for them to deal with. Poise has some shock darts, so could be able to break that initial trip close.
It's triggered.
Surprised you could never really leave this site, not with the Viper lurk wall in play.
Why destroy?
So Decoy eats the trip. That was the real deal, though. The genuine article, and 7 is absolutely flattened. Dimon wants to try and move up pretty quickly, already getting in position. Poise moves up on the side as well.
30 seconds left.
Silence. Bladestorm available here, and also an operator to work with, but playing from security, it's a little confined, it's a little awkward, and Zap is already trying to inch forward here. Poise should have his off angle pretty comfortably, but Spikes has just turned his attention that way. And no one is looking where they need to be here for 2G. Silence has to get out here. Has an operator in hand, would like to maintain it for as long as he can. No idea where that came from. That might have been
Yeah, what was
from
that?
Tower.
It's GMT on the run, but nowhere to go. TSM on the hunt. A second one on the board now. Off just a straight up hit where they lost the first man, but you could see the indecision from the 2 anchors of 2G. With Prize continuing to fight forward, but Zap on the retreat. After that moment, after that first kill. And Surprise was just left alone, getting pressed from multiple TSM players scaling forward, hung out to dry.
The issue is that all of Prize's util was set up on A. So they don't have a Cypher Cam in lieu of LZ, who got picked up in mid at the start of the round. So they don't know where to put themselves. And the Viper wall only makes things worse over at A. It means that there's no way Pricey himself is going to go and check, even if he had traps set up on A.
So 2G, they do have a trap set up over in A main right now. Just Spike playing off the contact of the Cam, LZ with the Paranoia ready to go. It doesn't seem like 7 is going to go for too much of an adventure into that side of the map, though. Just containing while the rest of the team apply a little pressure mid. Star down from GMD towards the top. If you look at the mini-map, well, he contains over towards B. So just trying to gain some info across the board at TSM before they work into the hit. Sim just praying someone peeks down that long sight line, but not going to happen. Might have a little op battle here on B.
Silence needs that insta-kill and then the fall off the site. This wall is going to necessitate it. Oh, he thought about it.
Just for a brief moment, but thought better.
That internal canine telling him to go for yet another swing, but no way you're posting up on the other side of that wall. Shock here. Gives Sim a bit of a tickle, but in general, TSM are well positioned now in this post plant thanks to the Cosmic Divide. And of course, that smoke down mid for GMD was pretty pivotal. Left Zap blind to any of the movements coming out from TSM. Sim nearsighted here, but wants to still step up and take the fight. Tries to find the off angle, misses it. Oh, that hurts so much. Pricey able to overrun him now. The fight's at coast. But Proto at least is able to trade things back here, but it's getting awkward now. What a great little pop for 2G, walking off the B site, shutting down the post plant setup. Even in such an awkward round, they are brimming with confidence.
Yeah, that was great utility, picture perfect retake. That dark cover placed by LZ on the left side, that little bridge area, and then the pop flash through from Spike is perfect. While LZ applies pressure over on B Danger. Really nicely done. That is how you retake
a massive round.
The B site on Abyss.
That is Solo Jet at the B side who misses the first shot. You have 3 players stacked over at A. Somehow you're able to rotate and then put that little set play together where you push off the side with all of your util. This 2G team are the real deal.
Take flight.
Absolutely are. And once again, they didn't get a chance to show it off on the prior round, so hey, let's just run this same A main trap setup. Leave Silence to op over at B. This is a rinse and repeat of the last one. A TSM trying to find success with one of the only successful rounds they had, repeating it. It was this deep walk up mid, but look at the adaptation from Prize. Has the tripwire ready to go. This is the point on the prior round where TSM crossed it and found the opening onto LZ.
And this leave of mid is so intentional. You can see Zap playing well back towards that A side of the map. Trapwire is cleared here. And look at how this starts to draw some movement across the map.
I mean, look at Silence now. He was locked in on B main, but has to give it up fully. So, you know, as far as 2G know, players from TSM could be creeping towards the site over on B. Silence is feeling the pressure of that. Doesn't know where to post up.
This is an interesting round to see how the flow of information can affect positioning. TSM are making a deeper push though as well. Zap's about to have his hands awful full. And it's going to be 7 that deals with him. In towards security now, that's where Sim is headed. In a great spot to put pressure down on Pricey. Gimon's trying to make his way on in, but some of those traps are being set off. And the defenders are holding here. 2 versus 2. Silence now, quickly, getting his way into tower. Plant has to happen awful soon. The Proto was going to ensure that. And Poise creates a bit of space there behind that cyber cage of the defenders. It's Silence, though, getting involved. And that's up to a Proto in that 1 versus 2.
He's got into a pretty nice position. Opportunity. Wins the first duel, all on Silence.
What? Silence jumps for that. And a Proto is easily able to punish it. What a comeback for TSM. That's a hard 4 round. And man, they really worked on it. That presence up mid, the slow push-pull, the wrap around. This round had it all for the attackers.
LZ just biding his time at the rope as well. TSM were just not suspecting that there would be so many players still entrenched in the site at that point. That stack was there from 2G because of the trap setup they were going for. And they tried to force that trap setup to work way too hard. Spike was really getting greedy in main, trying to press forward, capitalize off the paranoia, then caught with the flash in his hand. It all crumbles. TSM going towards B. There's the op silence on the angle, not able to get any damage through the wall, but that was damn close.
That is a really scary spot. You constantly see defenders try and get into that little nook. An angle is really hard to combat against for attackers.
And despite how rich 2G were at one point, their economy could be cracked here. And you can see TSM working towards the dimensional drift. Around the world, Seven has gotten both orbs to have it activated. Going to go into the site, find that info, try and force 2G out.
Smokes in security and in tower. There's no chance for 2G to see any of this action. They can't really do anything early. Spike's eventually brought down, though, inside that null command. That's still going to be a factor that TSM have to contend with. Sim, no one's looking for LZ here, but God, he flushed the shot. It's messy. Silence can't make the flick happen, an unlikely one in any case.
Player standing.
And eventually, it's going to be up to POISED now. This is 2G's economy teetering on the edge of oblivion. It was so healthy not a few rounds ago, but TSM, tooth and claw, have been able to get back into this game. And POISED thinks better of it. He knows this operator is much better suited. Used in the next round.
Yeah, going to try to allow their Star Duelist Silence to be the hero with it. To win this next round where they're going to have a terrible buy around the op. Whatever little they can get, ensuring a full for the next. And TSM just playing to the ults as a win con works perfectly. As the 2G firepower is starting to weaken just a bit. LZ easily could have gone 1 for 1, but just whiffed hard in that situation on GMZ, who is just slowly walking forward. The anchoring on A has been so disjointed from 2G. At this point, I'd like to see them just switch into playing for a flood retake or just a full set piece. You know, use a good timing with Spike with the KO to flash out of one of the smokes to flood, something along those lines. Because this attempt at anchoring has gotten disjointed every single time. The two players there are just not on the same page.
And look, the null command there by Spikes is fine, but it does nothing to stop the fact that the site's already smoked out and you really have to fight inside of it. And he was looking for an edge, but Dimensional Drift had already yielded so much information about where the defenders were set up, embedded in that site. Frankly, TSM's use of that ultimate there gave them such a massive edge. But I will say their post plants here on the attacking side have looked improved. They're able to look a lot more decisive on these hits, and yeah, I mean, now they're really leveraging those Yoru ultimates to get into security or spot out some of those players. If you recall the first Yoru ultimate from Seven here on your screen, caught out Zap trying to use a Hunter's Fury. That was a huge little turnaround. And then POISED had one of his own to sort of even the odds. And you said, is this round repeatable without all these ultimates? We've seen TSM make it happen 3 more times since then.
Yeah, they really have been exploiting this weak A defense from 2G, who need to address that coming out of the timeout. At one point in time, it looked like they were going to run away with this game. 5 rounds in a row. TSM went for that risky force buy on round 2. Completely fell apart. And now they're right back in the game. 2G, out of the timeout. Triple push down mid. Oh my god, Silence. Walking forward here. Oh my god, he even damages 7. That was a collat.
POISED felt so comfortable going for that orb take, and I can kind of see why it was being covered. Silence did not care. At the start of the round as well, there's a small thing. It's a recon ping on towards a proto, getting spotted out by 2G. Who, after a pretty rough couple of rounds, have only been able to afford a couple of those Sheriff's Guardian to play around this operator. So far, they've made it work beautifully. The amount of damage that Silence got with that one shot, it's an echo that'll be felt through generations. In the bones of TSM on a cold day. They're going to hear that.
Be faster.
And it's going to be Sim, though, dominating from that top side of the B side. This will allow for the plant here, and Spike and Silence have to put this together with a Viper's Pit to contend with on top.
That was just the superior weaponry coming out on top, fighting. Where TSM flash goes through from Spike, drops down, but doesn't know where to look. Gets the first 7, was so weak still. Just 3 HP, a stray bullet would have taken him out, and now Silence just has to save after going for a massive risk early with that swing into main with 37 HP after getting spammed through the wall. Gets a pick, brings 7 to 3, but they can't close it out. They exploited the lack of Sentinel on TSM again, by the way, with that push down mid, and LZ getting the shot from rope into B main. Same as a prior round. But this time, it just falls to pieces,
Last round before
crumbles. due to the lack of good weapons during the fight on B.
That hurts. That really hurts for 2G. Now 3 rounds in a row that have been snatched up by TSM. See some of these moments with this. That's the raw audacity. It's not even clear what 7 was really doing there. Sim was able to get up here on towards tower, B side. Big moment there. Spike, it's just awkward. I mean, you jump into a Viper's pit like that, you probably should be expecting it to be very messy. Here we go though, round number 12. Last one of this half. TSM looking to equalize with their last attacking round. 3 players stacked up around this Viper wall. Spike left in spawn, so very much a default look for TSM.
Oh, that drone I think just did see silence at the very end there. Must have. TSM say no thank you. They are ready to dodge this bot player, head towards B, where part of this default Gimon is just containing on that side of the map. Listen, they're definitely going to feel the fear of someone walking down mid trying to shoot them from rope. But here comes the execute gate crash coming in. Cam for a little bit of info, but this should just be a retake situation. But a little crossing before the star went down, the smoke was popped.
Just a small mistake that could be very costly for TSM. Losing that player there just to perhaps inattention.
Who's next?
A lack of cohesion either way. It's not great.
On the util just a little bit off.
Nowhere to run!
Right, well, this is going to get checked here by 7. Hunter's Fury now to try and capitalize on that information. Poised sends it off. They can't find anything ultimately. Zap and Gimon both get traded out for Astra. In that post-plant scenario, when Silence just turns up, plants his feet and says, I'm here to stay, baby. 7 rounds on the defensive side for 2G. And a great retake.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was LZ using his ultimate to teleport behind. I mean, I'm trying to look at the map right now. Yeah, he used the teleport to get into B heaven and got a 3K while the team pressed forward. What a great on-the-fly decision. Bold, and it works out. Again, I thought 2G were about to run away with this third map. TSM made a hell of a go at it after being down 5-0 to start this off.
How do you feel about their chances here defending, obviously with a lack of sentinel? So the mid part of the map is still going to be as much of an issue for them as it was on the attack side.
Yeah, that will be a very tough area to control. If we see the 2-game side trying to press up there, though it is easier for TSM when they're running the Viper as well. Getting that additional cloud so you can cut off both the angles does make a really big difference. You don't want to waste all of your smokes just to do that necessarily.
Spirits are high on the side of 2G, and you can't really blame them after the way those last couple of rounds ago. The fact that you can get away with that Omen TP right into the backline midway through that hard execute and find 3 kills off of it. Absolutely stunning stuff. TSM fighting hard for it though. Again, that string of 3 attack side rounds that they were able to put together, multiple of them with the help of like 1 or 2 ultimates. The dimensional drifts were pretty big. In that last round, we just saw it used by 7, his 3rd ult of the half, to try and set up the Hunter's Fury for Poised. But even with that information, Poised can't find any big kills off of it. And eventually TSM just run out of gas trying to hit that site. So it's going to have to be a defense with a great start here in the pistol for TSM. It really gets them rolling. And we're going to be looking again for some of these aggressive pops. We've seen it from 7 and Sim off of the, off of the A site on occasion early in the round. Sim sort of going, sort of around the pillar, off the edge, floating there, trying to back 7 up a little bit. They've got to turn this double duelist into a tour de force on this defense side.
And you've definitely got to be a bit impressed here with the mental fortitude of this 2G team and just how positive they're staying, how all the players seem, excited, pretty hyped up. This is the biggest event that these guys have ever played. They've only played regionally challengers in Brazil against a TSM team with a bunch of players that have been competing at a pretty high level for so long.
We've never seen them on this map either. They've never been tested in an official on Abyss. And 2G look like they've got it well in hand.
This is the first map in the series where Sim has not had a lights-out performance. 6 for 11 right now. And obviously, we talked about the prior Abyss game from them against Raider, where he dropped 38. Maybe he can come to life here when TSM need him most.
Mid is swarming with 2G players right now. They are absolutely taking liberties here. Gimond! Okay. Slow half for him. Gets his 4th kill. And it spikes and runs headlong into that ghost. Putting him on not long for this world, eventually going to be overwhelmed by a couple of extra players now. There's going to be pressure coming in from tower. And LZ drops before a Proto can scuttle back to security and safety. Now it's up to Sim.
Yeah, and it's LZ on that late flank, finding a 3K. The hero of the final round of the first half. Continuing the momentum into this second. Sim. Nice drop onto the rope, doesn't make any sound. Dash available, can take this first duel. Pure 1v1 against LZ, but he is just stepping up for the Brazilian side. 4K on the round. This pinch hit onto the A site, just ensnaring all of TSM from multiple angles, extending the lead.
7 kills in 2 rounds for LZ. All of a sudden, more than just a factor in this game. Yvonne is set up to receive this push, but again, this rampant mid-control for 2 game, they can sort of turn that in any direction. TSM definitely had to be thinking about how they control it, and we foreshadowed it a little bit by asking how they're supposed to lock it down without a sentinel. This time they're going to have Poised set up to keep an eye on things.
Yeah, it is. Just again, yeah, we are harping on it, but that exploitation of the lack of sentinel has been a key to 2G round wins. They do it again by being able to hit that A site from 3 angles. 7, lovely first shot. Prize going for a stroll and gunned down instantly. And now it's the TSM stack on B. If 2G go a little too fast here, they might get eco damage through as well.
Surely 2G can get some information about the density of players here before they choose to fully commit. What a scary prospect that'd be. LZ and Silence took some damage there through the smokes at the start of the round. A defensive Viper wall. Looks very much like the one we see on the B side of Bind. Just going to cover those rooms.
Push all the way out of A, allowing this stack to take place. Proto wants to swing.
It's got to be Gimon though. Able to find Spike at the very least, but Zapdown getting involved with the Outlaw. The timing for Sim, the wraparound. He eventually completes that second as well. Oh, you just hate to see those, Sim.
30 seconds left.
Little bro ain't getting back up. That's fine. Still a 1 versus 3 outside of the fact. Tim is saying, hey, can you guys get the round done now while I'm
yeah, can you guys can we kill Zap, please? Can we hurry up and kill Zap?
Don't die.
All right.
Okay.
Anybody? He's still drifting.
He survived.
Sim?
He's good?
He made it.
I love that.
He made it. That is just so silly.
Down B.
That is 7 getting so much presence on the A side, picking off Prize, who is going to regret not having just contained that side of the map. TSM go for a gamble stack, and they have no reason to place those chips anywhere but the B site. 7 got all the information.
As he just walked in the end. I'm not sure what he felt was implied about 7's position over on A, considering Yoru is the agent that can just instantly rotate with that gate crash. He's doing that right now.
Speed from 2G in deep. They've gotten the site completely. TSM acquiesce. The spike is going down. 5 versus 5 retakes. Superior util, superior weapons. TSM should be able to clean this up with ease. Surely we don't get the back-to-back eco.
This has got to be a pretty standard retake here for TSM, and so far, so good. Sim finds a safe shot there over towards Tower. Completes on that comfortably. Prize is forced to move up here. We'll find the 1, but eventually has to fall to the snake fight, and that'll be that. 1 gun drop there for TSM, but they convert nicely there on that eco round, despite 2G's fast play into A.
Yeah, minimal damage done. TSM do have some fantastic retake utility with this comp. Having those Yoru flashes available to get back in, while Sim can create space, dash into the cloud burst. A lot of great utility as far as that aspect of the game goes, but with the plant down for 2 game, they're going to have a very strong buy here. All heavy armors, save for 1 player, all the utility they need.
And the question is, how are they going to look to make use of mid on a round like this? Someone like Pricey, of course, playing a sort of a loose end for 2G is unlikely to give his life up so cheaply as he did last time. So it is a mid to A look here. Can't use presence in main to spot 7 out briefly. You can always reset, but Sim, he just went down, spam through the box to claim the jet. Not a great foot to put forward here for TSM at the start of the round. The Aldrone's going to confirm 7's spot as well. He decoys out. That's ignored entirely, and the flash is beautiful. A grab there, I think, used to try and slow 2G down, but they're well ahead of it, and Poised has no opportunity to... Oh, come on! ILZ just GP's forward.
I mean, that is just a little bit too
That's an Omen ult.
silly.
I mean, yeah, theoretically you have time to stop the Omen from TPing on you like that, but clearly Poised is overloaded, the mental bandwidth taxed, looking elsewhere.
TSM just absolutely folded over on that site. I mean, Sim getting spammed through the box, 7 just not ready with a gate crash either, just trying to spam out as much util as he can so he can go on the retreat, fully caught by the spike flash.
I think they found an awkward timing, like in between gate crashes there for 7. Doesn't have it available. That's rough stuff though. Yep, operator, that was sent over the edge.
That one is in the bin. Get that weapon out of the hands of Sim. On a map where it is very strong. 2G desperately needed to save these weapons too. This was their first real buy, all of them sub 1,000 credits. They get away as clean as they possibly could. And still smiles on the faces of these guys. They are seemingly just never mentally in the dumps. I mean, they are just such a confident team.
I mean, think about how they started this game, right? Yeah, it's got a little bit tougher. TSM have definitely been able to fight back, and obviously that pistol was a little bit awkward, but they managed to extend that lead back out to another couple of rounds, and they managed to avert catastrophe in terms of their economy on this round by having such a strong hold and only losing that one player. So plenty of things to smile about if you're 2G right now.
So that's going to be a instant 0 point sent out by Spike into A main. Make sure there's not going to be an aggressive press forward from TSM as there was on the prior round and as they'll probably do in the future. So that's just a simple way to counter that out. Get the early information. Sim does have an operator bought into it. The money is good enough.
Surprised he has mid covered pretty well on the attack side between him, his cam and himself. Can cover both sides of the causeway. And Sim hoping that this is the best spot for him to be with this operator. Very good deterrent for anybody for 2G trying to come up and test this. And the outdrone spots 2 TSM players walking back into security. They are giving the site. They do know that Sim can reinforce them there from tower if he makes his way out of mid.
They want to come back in, but GMT, he's out of the open in astral form.
I don't know about that. The timing, they're just not ready for 2G to be so far forward. I don't know if they're ready for Kimon to join them in the fight. That is a massive error. A little bit of a fundamental issue there for TSM. Look at that money, Wyatt. They still can cobble a buy together, but this was about as close to a must-win round as you get. And Sim just basically spent his whole round looking at a mid that was never populated by 2G players.
Oh yeah, the defender's just dissociating, just going blank in that moment, trying to slow walk back in. Just completely, I don't want to say unaware, but just not respecting the timing that 2G could have caught there. Very odd. Dismantled with ease, and that shouldn't have been the case. Because they had a timing themselves to try to fight that. POISED just trying to back up, keep these guns in their hands as the economy was out of control for TSM, but now being kept more than honest. And again, in the last 2 rounds, that's just one gun loss for 2G as well. Silence, the only one going down here.
Yeah, I mean, in that round, they're sitting on 3.5K, some of them. So they are very, very comfortable. For TSM, it's been their classic brand of scrappy Valorant mixed in with just a moment of blankness there. With that 3-player stack up. I mean, they're ready to fight there on that site. Are they caught between the ideas of giving it up and fighting back in, or they're just not aware of how far forward 2G are? I mean, that's something they should desperately would want to discuss, but it's going to have to wait until after the game. Attack pause here. So they have a chance at least to collect themselves for the coming rounds, but that lead is stretched now out to 3 again.
This is a great time for Attack Pause to come out from Faded. He really has chosen these timings nicely. I am impressed with the coaching from him in this series. I think he's been doing a really great job for a coach that frankly just didn't know much about coming into this year working with TSM. A team that has improved as the years gone on. A team that people didn't even think would be at this tournament have already got a win here. They're 1-1 in the standings. You need to be top 4 to make it through the group stage into the playoffs. Every win is so important in a group where it feels like anyone can beat anyone. I mean, the talent of the players in Ascension right now, crazy. Like these guys from Brazil that have just been chilling in Brazil while a lot of the same players in VCT Americas are kind of just getting shuffled around and recycled. Like, these guys are goddamn nuts, Mitch. There is some sick talent in the region just waiting to get into the partnership league.
But yeah, TSM are 1-1, but they have M80 and All Knights up to play next. Probably the two scariest teams that I've seen in Monterey. So to call this game a must-win is, I think, a gross understatement. Through mid, TSM have actually got a bit of a stack here, but Poised kind of gives himself away there. Steps into that cyber cage for a moment. Hunter's Fury now coming out from the attacking side. That's to try and catch the stack out in mid. Sim is a little bit low. That third shot, though, is going to go awry. But look at Silence. He's already knocking on the door with the DoorDash order. And it's not what you had in mind. It's a little too spicy for Sim. He's going to be taken down. Silence verging on 20 kills. Backs off after finding that kill. And TSM have been allowed here into this B side in the post plant. 7, though, can't get much done there. Playing on an L command is hard enough as it is, and Silence has found his 3rd kill. There is no way that Kimono's going to find anything where he is right now. At least the Proto could do something, but it's traded out in a flash.
The latest backstab from Prize, who got very valuable information in mid. Just walking up at the cages, heard 3 players running away. That's why you saw that instant Hunter's Fury from Zap. I mean, probably had intentions of using it at some point in this round anyway, but then just became so sure of himself. Prize was like, use that ult into the B link. There's 3 guys running around. They get into the site because of that, and Silence, again, is just lighting the server ablaze. Like, how does he get that Jiggle Peak 2nd kill? And the 3rd swinging out the opposite side of backside. It's just, come on, man. This guy is ridiculous.
And that dimensional drift for TSM never really gets them any real information. They do eventually get out onto the site because 2G opt to give it up. They just space out. They still have null command active, so for TSM to make a real retake happen with util is virtually impossible. And now it's a 4-round lead. TSM, they are breaking the piggy bank, bringing those pennies together and getting themselves a buy that's a little ugly. Couple Guardians in there. Full armor for everyone but 7 at least.
And that's one of the times in the timeout that the intended play that was applied by Fade and Poised didn't work. We've seen TSM do this before, and 2G already. They tried that against Reyna multiple times, shut down immediately. I mean, who can stop this guy, man? He is inhuman. He's 23 for 10. Just clearing Sim out of the server right now, and time for the 2-man save. What is this, 10 rounds in a row? These guys are just saving in misery.
Oh my man, I mean, there's a full flash there. I mean, all of 2G are hit, by that shard coming out from 7. And Sim, unfortunately, is not able to connect. The flash dissipates and everybody looks at him. That's TSM taking a gambit. It's a Hail Mary in terms of this game, Wyatt. In the background, Silence adds yet another one. Not overly notable because that's just kind of what he does at this point. Make it 4. And a black light flawless for 2G. TSM's Hail Mary gets put in the dumpster.
Let's end this.
And going up against TSM, 2G, they've had the opportunity with their day off to watch these games back from TSM, study them. They went for this exact play against Reyna 2 times, where 7 peaks main, and Sim just kind of floats to the left with the ult available. They were so ready to shut that down, expecting it. Just get the freest pick. So aware. TSM going for 2 rounds, 2 plays they haven't yet made on this defensive half. Both do not work out. Shut down by the 2nd seed from Brazil. We're feeling like they might have deserved to be the 1st seed at this point. The improvements from this team have been sublime over the past couple months that we haven't seen them.
Now TSM have to keep themselves alive in this series and potentially this tournament because the road ahead is rocky indeed. The Proto has a nice little angle between the walls. 7 gets involved, and that's a total of 3 kills for the defenders. Certainly gonna take some of the spring out of 2G's step. Pricey has to move up and take the spike. That's being allowed for until 7 turns his attention, of course, to B main. And they've given themselves a lifeline. They've come up for air. But now TSM have been able to tread water, but the question still lingers for how long? Can they do that? Zap here, I mean, 8,600 credits. Doesn't mind too much if he can maybe get something for his troubles in this round. It's like 1, okay, he gets 2. That is disastrous for TSM considering how the round started.
At the end of the day, though, with their backs against the wall, they're going to be forcing it to every round at this point anyway. Economy be damned.
That is true.
And that is just a Proto and 7 set up in a crossfire, hitting their shots. Guardian in the hands of 7. Just 2 taps required to the dome for 2 kills. Simple but effective. TSM have no shortage of strong aimers. All-out brawl coming in A main at the moment.
Another A main stack, yeah. Poised with the Owl drone to try and spot this out. Silence with the Cloudburst. Kind of gives his position away a little bit there, and he gets gunned down straight through it. Sim appears inexplicably with 3 kills, and that's a quick one, folks. 2G starting to fork that money over into these weapons.
About as fast a round you will ever see Valorant. 9 players just having a little meetup over an A main. And Sim just sprays through, gets 3. It's just that easy. Round gone in a flash. 3 more chances here.
TSM through these rounds, and with the guns they've been able to maintain, are starting to able to basically full buy now. TG, though, can buy that aggressively for yet another round here.
Wow, they've actually thrown an operator over to Zap. What are the intentions? They're taking a peek deep down mid. That is the Owl drone. Well, it does get the information. You're not going to see the TSM players going for any
contact
cheeky
peeks?
Little contact peeks. Jump spotting might be a little bit more risky than they thought.
And off that, TSM pull Poise all the way back to spawn again. He can respond quickly with Hunter's Fury. The chips are definitely falling TSM's way in terms of these ultimates now, and a Proto is more than happy just to let this pick go as soon as he sees the slightest glimmer of action from 2G on B. So that limits their options somewhat. They haven't really extended up mid.
No, but Silence did throw a Cloudburst pretty deep, feigning that they could be walking up. They could be pushed pretty far. You can see Sim has picked up that angle towards B Link with intentions of this always to be an A split. Yeah, Pricey has just been sat in the vent for over a minute, I believe, at this point. Got there really early in the round.
Surely this gets checked by Gimondi. Has to be aware. No, Pricey gets the drop on him instead. Out of the Hunter's Fury, we see the updraft that gets Silence clear of the Sova ultimate. And LZ scoops up the spike on his way through. Now, a straight 3 versus 3 for the map. 2G have these post-plant setups ready, and Pricey has not moved from that position. It's a strong one, even if it is known and noted by the defenders. Recon cleared. Paranoia now slows things up. Silence, though, doesn't really want to shift, and it's just this quick step to the left to find the elimination. Sim inside the Cloudburst still gets brought to heel, and that will be that. TSM have been vanquished by the number 2 seed from Brazil, and now Zap has got every reason to talk his talk.
I mean, he's going. I mean, this is out of control. This guy's hilarious, man. 2 wins in a row now for 2G, the 2nd seed from Brazil, who, by the way, Split 1 came in 3rd place, Split 2 came in 3rd place. They got here by just having enough points. The improvements that they've made since we last saw them in the Split 2 playoffs have been monumental. I cannot describe enough how much they've improved in regard to the fundamentals of the game. They felt so individualistic, disjointed compared to the other top Brazilian teams like Galores. That is not the case anymore. They've got the firepower, and they're way more of a team than they used to be. So impressed by these guys, on the verge now of getting into the playoffs, claiming one of those 4 spots. And TSM in some real danger. 2 losses in a row now.
Yeah, again, we talk about the road ahead for TSM. It's terrifying. Some absolutely filthy teams that await them. M80, of course, is a foe they're very familiar with. And as they were saying, basically in every interview, they're the only team in North America that we've been unable to beat. They are going to have to find a way to manufacture a win there, or against an All Knights team that looks like a force to be reckoned with in their own right, too.
Dante right now. I
mean, no
luck.
way. No way. The cracks are starting to form in this TSM lineup. There's a lot to talk about in this 3-map series. So we're going to head over the desk and discuss.
What a way to close out that series. That was amazing from 2Game. The way that they close it out, Silent going off, gets a forking one of those rounds, and they guarantee that they get that win once again. And it's massive because now it is a 2Game that have won against the 2 first seeds of the other regions. They won against Reta just the other day. Just now, they were able to get that win against the 2nd seed of TSM, and they look better and better every single time, Roy. we were kind of having a discussion. Oh, are they gonna be enough? Are the 7 rounds gonna be enough? And then they were able to prove that it was more than enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think our caster said it completely perfectly, that 2G has clearly leveled up from their last showing, and it seems like every single match they're looking more and more cohesive. I mean, just check out this round that we're watching right here. You can just tell that the level of prep was completely there for the 2G side. They knew what TSM was up to. They had done their homework. They had almost responses to almost everything that TSM put. And even though TSM had great ideas, it just really felt like it just came down to like the small nitty-gritty details.
Which is something that a lot of the matches end up coming up to, Steriban, when we watched this game and when we saw how close they started dominant. This 2-game team, they started dominant on the first half. Then it got a little closer. It was a 7-5, but then it was just a matter of those last couple rounds that they got together to close it out. So sometimes it's all about the little details.
Yeah, for sure. Like we mentioned earlier, that extra day you get just to like prep against the enemy team is so huge. And even looking at what 2Game was doing during this game, they just seemed very well prepared against TSM, because TSM has shown this map and this was an unknown factor for 2Game. So there was nothing that TSM could do to prep against them. And I think that really showed a big difference here.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, you can prep as much as you want, but in the end of the day, you still have to show up. And it really does feel like 2G has those players that are consistently performing. I mean, look at Silence, 28 and 12, 7 first kills. I mean, they completely lapsed TSM when it came down to the first kills, first deaths ratios. So, I mean, clearly, whatever 2G is cooking, it is obviously working.
There are a couple big rounds that we saw for this set of 2 games, specifically on that second half, to be able to close out this map. And one of them is that round 19 we saw right after a pause. It was a tactical pause, and then right after a Roy, we see a 4K happening from this Jet going off, popping off, and being the difference maker once again to get this win for the Brazilian squad.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly knew that TSM was going to do that A main play, as if that's what you're referring to. And yeah, this is it right here. You could just tell they had a perfect counter. This is like the Jet differential of the decade. It's just insane levels of performance coming out from Silence. And the one thing that I really would like to talk about